and welcome back to my garden for the 2023 season. I am so excited for you to join me as we grow a whole lot more food, cook some delicious garden to plate meals, and just create a more self-sufficient lifestyle together. Today we're going to do a quick trip around the garden. We're going to see what is available to harvest because I know there's some things that are well overdue and ready to be picked. And I'm going to share some common problems that you're most likely going to encounter in a summer garden and how I overcome them. It's a garden tour packed with valuable tips, so if you want to learn more about growing your own food at home, then make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on so you get a reminder every time I post a new video. But let's go out the front and check out my raised garden beds and see what food we've got ready to pick. Alright, so first up, this garden bed has a zucchini in it and is taking up so much of the bed, and it's producing a whole lot of zucchini, so I need to harvest some of these. I'm also going to start thinning out some of the leaves because I don't have powdery mildew on this one, but I do have it on another one. So if you are suffering from powdery mildew on your zucchinis or your pumpkins, a great way to combat that or just prevent it before it happens is to thin out some of the leaves. So as you can see, this one has so many leaves and it doesn't need all of these leaves to produce, so I can take some of them off. So I'm going to thin out some just to get some airflow through there, especially some of these ones that are overshadowing other plants. That's going to let more light in for those. So we're going to remove some of them. And if you do notice any that have mildew on them, like powdery mildew, and I'll show you that on the other one, then remove those first. This one is a beauty. I love the stripes on these. So you probably can't even tell where I've taken any leaves out, but I have taken a whole bunch out. I've taken a lot of the bottom ones that were all damaged by the wind, like this. They're not really doing anything for the plant anymore, so I can get rid of those, and that frees up some airflow to stop the powdery mildew and also let some light into the other plants that have been under here. So I've been harvesting a lot of this lettuce, and I've got some weeding to do because these are all creeping up the side. So I need to get in and do a lot of these grasses before they get too bad. This lettuce is going to go to flower, but I've been eating all off the side here for salads. The zucchini is just wild. So there's so many little zucchinis on there. You can see. Look at them all. There's a zinnia hiding in there. So by freeing up some of these leaves, there's letting more light into those other plants. And some of these tomatoes are rotten and squishy. So with these, when they're like that, I just bury them in the garden. And that's how I get tomatoes popping up every year without actually planting any. So I'll see if any of these are okay. See, this tomato plant is looking very sad now, but it is looking fine on the top. It wasn't getting much water, so it has gone pretty ratty and gross. So what I will do is I'll trim off all the bad leaves, all the tomatoes that look bad. It gets battered about. You can see where it's been rubbing on the fence, on the post. So I'm gonna tidy this up. It's still producing flowers and tomatoes, so I'm not gonna remove it yet. Just give it a nice tidy up. Down here we've got sweet potato going crazy. We've also got a jalapeno. So I need to get in here and just get all these grasses out, because we don't want that. And just prune off some of these dead leaves and let some more light in for this one. So I have quite a bit of work to do since I've been on holidays. Gardens are full. Sunflowers are looking beautiful. So this is a good one. So this one is blossom end rot, and most of this is probably happening from inconsistent watering. Look at these huge zucchinis. These should have been picked ages ago. They're ginormous. And then this is the one that has got powdery mildew. You can see all of that on there. So I'm going to remove a whole bunch of these leaves, but I think this plant's, these ones are alright. So just these ones in here aren't getting the airflow. And this tomato, I ran out of water for this one, so this one didn't get much water while I was on holiday, and you can see it. It looks terrible. More grasses to pull out. We've got butterfly pea though, that survived. This lettuce in here. So let's pick these. Another big one. Okay, so this one behind me is pretty well dead as well, but heaps of tomatoes on it, so we're going to harvest these tomatoes and probably remove this plant and make room for something else. But we've still got lettuces that I've been harvesting. There's some basil coming through, lots of thyme, still chard, which is surprising. Got a little candy cane pepper down here, which is a variegated pepper. All this thyme, which I've been using a lot. Some basil, pineapple sage, chard. I've even kept a kale. I'm not eating it or anything, but oh, look at this big guy. He's been probably eating it. So with the kale and some of my rainbow chards I've left behind, they don't look great. I'm not eating them, but I've kept a few so that when it comes to winter, I've already got plants established and they'll start producing and I'll get food quicker. So most of my brassicas, like my broccolis and kales and all of that, I removed during spring because they were getting absolutely attacked by bugs, because that is the prime time for the white butterflies and caterpillars to be out eating those plants. So I removed most of them from my garden because they are just taking up space, and not producing any food. But I've left a few and they became sacrificial plants and they got eaten by bugs, and now the bugs have gone away because they are in cycles and seasons and this is now too hot for them. So they've gone and left me with some interesting looking kale and rainbow chard plants, but that's okay. Patience, and soon it'll be cooler and those plants will be taking off and I won't need to replant as many. So that's sort of one of the strategies that I've got going in my garden, is that I do leave a few of those plants behind just to, I guess, work their course. So they don't look pretty, they're not really doing much, but they aren't taking up too much space. I've only got one in each garden bed basically. So now we've got room to train this one up and it will take up the space. This is a cucuzza, which is like a really long zucchini but on a vine. So it's sending off heaps of these, so I'm going to train it up here and then across. So in this garden bed here, which is right outside my office window, I've got a whole lot of ground covers and some zucchini. So I've got the New Zealand spinach, which is thriving, it's so lush and green. I've got pumpkin, I've got sweet potato, and I think there's even a watermelon hidden down the corner there. And as you can see, it's loving life. So not really much zucchinis. I might pick this one. Been getting pretty battered and bruised from the wind, but now that I'm home I can look after them all a little bit more. I haven't seen any pumpkins on the vine yet, but there's lots of male flowers, so hopefully they're not far away. And I planted sweet potato in here previously, so it's just popping up. I didn't have to replant it, because if you leave any little piece of root behind, you will get sweet potato the following year. So that is a really easy way to garden. It just grows by itself. I'm also going to pick more of this for dinner. So over here there's another zucchini, so I've got one in each bed and they are taking up most of the bed, but that's okay. I love zucchini. There's lots of chives and stuff in here as well, so if I start taking off some of these leaves like I did before to stop them overshadowing. So if you have got a really crowded garden, all you have to do is just remove a few leaves and that will let light in to these other ones down here. And obviously this plant has heaps of leaves, so it's not going to really make much difference to this plant. Lettuce that's going to flower, this will taste super bitter. I've got carrots. So down here I've got some carrots interplanted. This is a cucumber. There's some baby cucumbers on it down there, so I need to get this trellised up here so that it can climb up here. And we've got calendula and hollyhock here, still doing really well. Some more silver beet and stuff growing in the back there. And the pepino. This is a beetroot that's gone to flower, so I'm just letting that go. And this is I think it's like a daikon or some sort of radish that's gone to flower as well. So I'm just leaving that there for the bees to come and pollinate my zucchini. I don't think we've got any on here yet. There's some coming through, but there's no ready ones here yet. So it is really important that you can keep on top of your harvesting and you don't let them get so big like mine, because the plants will produce more and more if you harvest them on time. If you let them go too long, plants will slow down. So you want to be continuously picking as much as you can, and that's going to promote more food on each plant. Which is something that we want. So now I'm back from holidays, I'm going to be on top of all my harvesting. I'm going to start filling in some of the gaps here, so with any plants that I've removed, and also trimming back some that are overcrowding others to let airflow in so that they don't get mildew or diseases, and also to let light in for some of those little plants that are shaded out by the big leaves. So there's already more. I can see some things in here that I didn't even see before because of the big leaves. So there's some rocket coming through, because I plant seeds all in between everything else, so they grow at different stages, and that way when plants are dying down and finishing, there's already some coming through. As long as I am keeping on top of making sure I'm picking off those leaves and seeing where things are at. There's so many garlic chives. So all these leaves can either go in the compost, or I'll just chuck them on any of the empty garden beds. Definitely need to get in here and get rid of all these grasses. So that is a job. These beautiful zinnias. This is something else that I need to do, is make sure that I pick my zinnias, because every time you pick your zinnia, they're going to sprout. Oh, it's hard to see in there. So you want to, every time you pick your zinnia, it's going to sprout out more from the sides. So you'll get bushier plants with more flowers. So you can pick some of these and enjoy them. Dead lawn that I'm going to renovate this year. Watch this space. Look, I have cabbages in summer. I don't even know what this is, but we're doing it. Pumpkins, some more beautiful zinnias, so I need to pick these. And this patch here is more pumpkins and New Zealand spinach. So they're really good ground covers, and they'll start pumping out pumpkins soon, all in this space. And there's another random cabbage that's made it through the summer. Look at this big beauty. Alright, so we've got a big basket of tomatoes, zucchinis, lettuce, and some edible flowers that I can cook up for dinner. But I have one more thing to harvest out the back, so let's go take a look at my pallet planters and grab the next key ingredient, because I think it's going to go really well with these. Few chilies to add into the mix from the pallet planters. So that's just a few things from the front garden. There's lots of fruit coming in here. We've got lots of guavas on the way, both strawberry guavas and Hawaiian guavas. Bijo is, the kumquat is flowering, so there's lots more things out the back here. There's heaps of sweet potato, so I can use that for greens, and the Queensland arrowroot, I can use that for potatoes. it's super low maintenance, so I am adding more and more perennials into my garden so that I can spend less time worrying about it, and when I do go away I don't lose so many plants. So although I still grow annuals and I love them like tomatoes and zucchini, I am adding more perennials into my garden so that there is a huge base of food that is low maintenance. So if you want to learn more about some of the things that I've got growing as perennials, then check out this video on 22 edible perennials, and there's also a free downloadable ebook, so make sure you grab that as well, and I'll see you back for another video.